You're listening to the Ballet Piano Podcast, lifting the lid on dance accompaniment.
Hello, listeners and viewers, and welcome back to this episode of the Ballet Piano Podcast. My name is Chris Hobson, and to my left, inspecting the mixing desk, is Akiko Hobson.
Hello.
Opposite Akiko is David Yao.
Hi, everybody.
And next to David Yao is the Queen of Clapham himself, Mr. Matt Gregory.
Hi, guys.
For those of you who don't know, Matt's just moved.
Congratulations.
Yay.
The
Fantastic.
piano's gone up 2 flights of stairs. The boxes are not yet unpacked.
Exactly. It was 2 days ago at the time of recording. So
But most
take your
importantly, piano is moved, yeah?
the piano. Can I tell that story?
Yes. You've had a stressful week, love.
People have been in my DMs saying, "Can you tell this story on the podcast?"
Come on.
So about a week and a half ago, I thought, "Oh, I'm moving next week. I should really think about moving my piano." I'm such a procrastinator. So I'd loads of phone numbers, one off you, Akiko, and
Yeah.
like other people had said, "Oh, call these people." So I called around, got some quotes, and people quoted the gig as like from
Yeah.
ground floor to second floor. They price it up like that. How many stairs? This, that, and the other. One company was accepting the job, but after they saw my videos and photographs of the journey of the piano, they said, "Oh, that's not going to go." Because I'd set the dimensions of my piano as well. And they said, "That's not going to go." I was like, "We need to do a little FaceTime, in situ."
Yeah.
And one company had said to me, "You need to make a cardboard cutout of the cross section of your piano.
That's clever.
So when it's like horizontal, that's it stood on its
Right.
end. And then you can sort of navigate that corner."
Uh-huh.
And so I did that with the guy on FaceTime. And it went around the first corner, but it was touching the walls.
Ooh.
So it went, but the guy was like, "Well, we can't put a cover on it then." I was like, "I don't want it scratched,
Yeah.
So that was that. And then they accepted the gig. And then it was a 4-man job.
Oh, my goodness.
And my little yammy, she's not the tallest,
No.
but she's the heaviest of the small yammies. And that's what
Yummies.
the men said
Yeah.
to me. And actually on the actual moving day, all 4 men arrived. And then we were all on my landing near my new front door, and they said, "That's not going to go." And actually the first corner that I was worrying about, they were fine with. It was the second one, because there's like a little S shape into my new apartment.
Gosh.
And they said that second one's not going to go because there's 2 steps as well.
Didn't they think about cranes?
About
A
what?
crane.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's last resort, isn't it?
Yeah, take the
It would have been
out.
very expensive for a crane.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, just tell the end of the story very quickly. I had to then get the boss on FaceTime again with the 4 men there. And they said, "You need to sort of take the wrap. We could force this round the corner, but we might take the banister out." Because it's only wooden.
Yeah.
We can force it. The piano would be fine because it's in its cover. But can you take the wrap if we just break the banister?
We trash your
Yeah, so I
apartment.
just said, but the boss has been very cautious on FaceTime, and the 4 men are like that, giving me winks, saying, "We'll do this. Just take no notice of him. We'll do it," sort of thing. So I just went upstairs, sat in my lounge, and I was like, "Just get the piano in."
Three Hail Marys.
Yeah.
All I could hear was, no, wait, up.
And you're like,
Lie back and think of
And
England.
I was like, "I cannot watch this." And then the next minute, it arrived in my lounge.
Yay.
she's
Oh,
in.
well done.
And they're now following me back on Instagram. Piano Removals London. I can't recommend them enough. The 4 guys, they were so chill about it. I was having sweats and sleepless
Yeah.
nights, and they were just so relaxed about it.
Oh, well done.
4 burly men.
You paid 4 big burly men to lift things for you.
Anyway, that was the story.
Right.
Happy ending.
Happy ending. We
Yeah.
all like a happy ending. Anyway, so today we're going to be discussing what it's like playing for Pas de Deux. Now, for those of you who don't know, I just did a quick Google whack, and Pas de Deux literally means step of 2. So, in terms
which
of
you needed to Google, yeah?
just in case, I don't want to, I don't want to give irrelevant information or wrong information on the podcast. I'm not Donald Trump, so so Pas de Deux. David, please correct me if I'm wrong. Usually, in terms of classical ballet, it would be danced by a couple, usually and historically a male and a female.
Historically, yes.
And the traditional sort of pas de deux in a classical ballet comes in almost 4 sections. So you've got, the introduction and the grand pas de deux, usually adagio, a male solo, a female solo, and a coda.
Yeah, grand pas de deux.
Yeah. So that's the sort of summation of the grand pas de deux.
Yeah.
But if you work in a school, you might play for pas de deux classes. And you might know that you need endless amounts of 3/4s, endless amounts of patience, and endless amount of introductions to go between groups because it can go on for a long time. The first time I ever played for a pas de deux school class, somebody had said to me, prepare your slow 3/4s because you're going to need them.
Yeah.
And luckily, things like the Don Q waltz, da 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 dum, ba da da dum, and the pas de deux from the Bayadere second act got me through those first few classes of pas de deux because I didn't know what I was playing for. It was just 2 people messing about at the time. Matt and Akika, what were your first pas de deux classes like that you played for? Can you remember?
Well, it was probably when I first started playing for class, though, at school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at the school.
You know, pas de deux is on the schedule just like normal ballet class. So you're thrown in at the deep end the same way as you are when you
Yeah.
first start playing for class. Yeah, but as you say, your adage 3/4s. And actually, at Birds, where I first started, it's like basic pas de deux.
Right.
So actually,
Like
there's
partnering style.
yeah, especially for first years, it's just, the guys finding, the girls' weight, and it's not crazy massive full pressage
Yeah.
lifts in first year. So actually, if you play first year pas de deux, there's a lot of explaining, isn't there?
Yeah.
So actually, there's
Yeah.
probably a lot of sitting around
That's what I was warned.
while the dancers learn
Yeah.
each other's bodies
Yeah.
and learn how to do the actual partnering.
That's what I was told. Like lots of waiting around.
Yeah. And, let's now have a go with the music comes after lots of coaching and explaining, doesn't it? And lots of teaching, David. So in first year pas de deux,
First year is. I remember I once fell asleep in a pas de deux class.
Yeah, that's the thing. So normally in the vocational school situation, pas de deux class happened in the afternoon, just after lunchtime. So you're full, and then there's the sunshine coming up from window, and the room is warm.
Yeah.
The teacher's talking. So you do get a little bit sleepy sometimes.
Yeah.
No, Alan Bettany, when he used to work in London, was explaining they were trying to do pressage. No, fish flip they were doing.
Yeah.
And of course, that's very tricky. And each lad's got usually 2 partners at the time. Holy moly. Over an hour went by without doing anything.
Wow.
I obviously I'd hit the limit on my credit card, so I couldn't do any more internet shopping. And I fell asleep. And it was only when he shouted across, Maestro, and and what?
I actually know the story. One of the ballet pianists I know, he told me the story when he was playing for the pas de deux class. Again, afternoon, it was warm after lunch, and teacher was talking, it went forever, and this pianist fell asleep. And next thing he heard was and. So he suddenly went like this, and it had no idea what exercise. He just started to play something. And apparently, this teacher and a bunch of students looked at him like this. And then he realized it was just and within the sentence that the teachers were saying.
There's nothing worse if you get caught off guard with that accidental and because
Yeah.
you're not
Yeah.
100% paying attention. And
That's happened to me slightly different. And a teacher's correcting to the dancer and they go, thank you. And then I start playing because they thank the dancer for getting the correction. I've done that before.
right, sorry, we digress. I mean, that's unusual for us, isn't it, on this? Right, so pas de deux, David, when you're teaching pas de deux, is that basically you're teaching the students what they're going to be doing, hopefully when they become professionals and they hopefully get the chance to be a principal or a soloist and dance the sort of grand pas de deux roles and the principal roles? You're
Any
teaching
dancer in a professional
fundamentals.
company needs to be able to know the technical aspects of being able to do pas de deux.
Yeah.
So pas de deux, yes, it technically means step in French, but in this context, it does mean a dance for 2. Right. So what you see from the front looks like ballet, but if you go around the back, this is the interesting bit. it's like a foreign language, because for a man, for whoever's partnering, it's completely another thing. It's not ballet.
Yeah.
So you're learning from scratch. So it's like when you first sit down at a piano and start learning what the names of the notes are and how to do a scale.
Mm-hmm.
It's complex. You have to get the correct fingering and everything so you can go all the way up. So the same thing for ballet. So what Matt was saying was really, really important. So it takes time to understand when you're dancing for yourself, you're only responsible for yourself. But when you're dancing with somebody else, you're responsible for your partner. So that's where it becomes challenging.
Yeah.
Because your attention is usually on yourself, isn't it? So if you're a female dancer, it's easy to just think, oh, I'm just going to relax and let the man do it. But actually, you have to actually push yourself to do your best so that your partner behind you understands, because if they can't see your eyes.
Yes.
So without seeing your eyes, it's like closing your eyes and trying to play
Wow.
Yeah.
straight away. So for the man, what they have to do is they have to actually feel where somebody else's balance is and then counterbalance. So when you're off balance, what does that feel like? And how do they react so that you don't fall out, so that the lady doesn't fall over?
So that's where one of those first basic exercises
Takes so
comes
long.
in. It's just like learning how to put the girl, like for the man to keep the girl on balance and then go off balance and put them back.
And Ed Watson has said on YouTube, when the ladies have a tutu on,
Oh, it's worse.
you can't see their
You can't
legs
see legs,
No.
no.
because of the plate.
Yeah.
So,
It's really difficult.
and then you sort of have to partner further away so you don't squash the tutu.
So exactly. So
Yeah.
if
another
you
skill.
if you get too close to the tutu, you slow everything down, because it just, the friction against your body will just like stop the ladies from turning around. But also, I remember my teacher used to say, you have to use your hands like eyes. So you're feeling where your partner is, and it's really good when you have a tutu on, because you really literally cannot see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's really challenging.
And you know, when you like your principal couples, and let's say you've done, like let's say Rudolph and Nureyev and Margot Fontaine, like they did lots of ballets together. So presumably you get to know the absolute nuances of how the girl does her
Yeah.
particular
point.
arabesque.
It's all about trust.
Yeah.
It's a journey about trust. And so when you're in a pas de deux lesson, it always helps to have the same partners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then you know how you kind of can guess how they're going to be.
Yeah.
But every day is different, of course,
Yeah, like we said about tempos, what
Yeah.
works on Monday morning doesn't necessarily work
Exactly.
on Monday afternoon or
Yeah.
a Saturday evening.
And that takes a long time to gain that trust.
Yeah.
And the more complex the moves become, the more you have to trust your partner.
Yeah.
So it's really challenging for the man, especially.
Tamara Rocco always said of her and Carlos Acosta, they got to a point where they were breathing together.
Yes. Yeah.
In the choreography.
Right.
You can almost second guess a partner that you've worked with for a long time.
Yeah.
So that's really good then, because then you can kind of guess what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that helps you to then help them.
I think that must be so scary, because
It
like,
is.
you're responsible
It
for,
is totally
if you're the man in this partnership, you are responsible
Yeah.
for lifting that woman.
Yeah.
And like we've all seen things on YouTube and videos, or even in studios where a dancer, it's just the lift hasn't quite worked, and she
Yeah.
gets dropped, and it's so scary,
It is.
isn't it? 'Cause
Well,
you just-
But
it just
equally
goes-
for the woman, it's scary as well,
Yeah.
because when you're being held off balance and your reflex is to put your 2 feet on the floor
Yeah.
to help yourself, and you're saying, no, don't, stay there, because the lady then is teaching the men where they shouldn't be,
Yeah.
or where they want to
Yeah.
be. And so it's really, really challenging, and it takes a long, long time to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I saw Tamara's very last Nutcracker in London.
Right.
2018 maybe. And she was covering for another ballerina. So she was on in the matinee. She only found out that day. I got the ticket on that day. So she was dancing with a different partner.
Wow.
Lovely James Forbat. And in the Grand Pas de Deux, I think she and the other ballerina who she was covering do the full sit lift in Wayne Eaglings. And James Forbat's arm wasn't there in that sit lift.
No.
And his guardian angel just went,
Good for him.
got her there.
Under pressure.
And I was like, whoa. You don't want to drop Tamara,
No,
do you?
no.
But it was brilliant. It was wonderful.
So musically, playing for...
We could just talk about Pas de Deux stories
just
all day, couldn't we?
fangirl about the people we love. Right, so musically for Pas de Deux, it's basically, it's your bog standard ballet music. Isn't it? If you're in a pas de deux class, I think, and guys, please correct me if I'm wrong because I have such a blinkered view of the world. But for me, it's got to be inspiring, it's got to be emotional, and it's got to support. So you need these 3/4. So if you're beginning or you're going to be playing your first pas de deux class in a vocational school, you've never done it before, basic things like the don cue, the 3/4s, and all those sorts of things will go a very long way in for basic sort of ballet exercises, won't they? And pas de deux exercises. And then, it will progress. So you might have things like a waltz, or a light waltz from something like Le Bayadere is always a hit, isn't it, David?
Yes,
Everybody loves
always.
a bit of Bayadere. And then, having all the plethora of coders at your fingertips, from things like Le Corsaire, Nutcracker, Swan Lake, etc., just gives it that. I always find I play a lot more ballet music in pas de deux classes, which I wouldn't play anywhere else.
Yeah,
Right, that's interesting.
Because
or classical music as opposed to jazzy things.
Yeah.
I
would
don't
you
tend to
say?
play that I Will Survive for a coda in pas de deux class, which is one of my favourite frappe, Petit Batman bits.
If you think about it, we always say the music has to fit the purpose.
Right.
And if the
Yeah.
ladies are in point shoes and tutu and it's a classical pas de deux based on repertoire or
Yeah.
from ballets, then the music really should match that as much as possible, shouldn't it?
I also think in pas de deux, I try not to mess about as much in terms of music and be cheeky AF. I don't, which I do a lot in classes.
Yeah.
I don't tend to do it in pas de deux classes as much. Because,
make it simpler, no?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the focus, like the music needs to be there to support and sort of semi-lead, but it's such a technical exercise and classes that are going on. It's less of, certainly for the first couple of years in vocational school, you're not learning archery, you're learning how to hold a girl, aren't you? Or the girl's learning how to trust the boy that she's with.
Yeah, and pas de deux class is not the vibe of a company class.
No.
So
It's a different pace completely. But
Yeah.
it does help to inspire if we have all these lovely tunes, even if
Yeah.
it's a slower pace and it's repeated and everything.
Yeah.
It really does help to inspire the dancers because they put themselves, even when they're learning in that ballet, whatever you're playing,
Yeah.
they imagine that they are that
Yeah.
couple. So
I
that's
think-
really helpful.
I think ballet tunes are helpful, like especially for adage and things, because sometimes even teachers they set this or this adage with a lift and everything, and they're unsure with which count with this step goes. So if you actually put like one solid tune that everybody knows, they kind of know the time, like remember the timing with the melody. Otherwise, sometimes like if there's like a group of 5 people doing pas de deux with the same music, sometimes one does the period on the count 3 and the other one does count the 4. But when you have like don cue music and
Yeah.
then
They
everybody
kind of
does,
know, because they've watched it. Yeah.
so it's a bit helpful, I think.
Or even playing ballet tunes and say like the Paquita pas de deux, the G major one, which is 4/4 or 12/8, depending on how you've got it written down. You can whack that onto a 3/4 with relative ease, and because the tune is so well known by all the teachers and the students who are learning it, it will support a ballet sort of pas de deux class adage exercise really well.
And with all these, I mean, because we hear these tunes all the time, we think, oh, here we go again. But actually, for some young people, this may be the first time that they've actually really listened to that piece of music properly to be able to dance to it. And so actually, in a way that you're still educating them, even though they might see it on YouTube, but they may not really sort of process it any deeper than just hearing the melody.
Yeah.
So
When
it's really helpful.
Yeah, physically. And also, I mean, pas de deux is what I know we speak about this, we have done for donkey's years. Rubato and Ritz and things like that. If you are using using a famous piece of pas de deux music, such as the Paquita or whatever, you can put Ritz in there to allow the space for the dancers to be able to get on with the choreography and fit it in, so you can sort of stretch it while they're like learning.
Yes.
Can't you? And then hopefully the teacher will then tell you to speed it up a little bit later on. And not get stuck in that incredibly slow.
Because, 2 dancers might be grappling with each other while they find it.
Yeah.
And you might just have to pull it a set because that bit's the
More
sticky bit.
challenging.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is easier I find it much easier with classical music and certainly repertory music like that to be able to play with the tempos and the rubato that I would do if I was playing, say, an arranged piece of pop music or musical theatre or something else. I just find that easier personally. And then for pianists too, so maybe you're getting more advanced. You want to, if you're nipping into companies and things like that, or maybe you're around for galas and things like that, or you're in third years, or certainly summer courses, either in London or the Prague masterclasses or anywhere else, you're going to come across pas de deux there endlessly, aren't you? Yeah. So those you want to, maybe over the course of time, because nobody learns these things when you're studying piano, because why would you learn Le Corsaire pas de deux when you want to be a solo pianist? But things like Corsaire is another good one to having. Sorry, I just hit my wedding ring on the dining table. That's what that one was. It's not going well for me today. Le Corsaire is a great one to have in there because the pas de deux and the solos and the coda all fit well. There's Don Q, there's Giselle Peasant Part, Nutcracker always comes up, doesn't it? Sleeping Beauty, Bluebird Pas de Deux, and all this stuff is completely readily available on IMSLP. Readily available for you to, have and just spend an hour, watch a YouTube video, go, okay, I'll get that. And then when you've got it in your arsenal, it's pretty much there forever. You might need, 15 minutes just to remind yourself, but it's there.
Yeah. Or actually, if the teacher knows in advance, I'm doing something based on that pas de deux, the teacher can inform the pianist just to have a look over it.
And that really helps.
Just
that music.
You always have the sticky situation in pas de deux, don't you, though? Because it's a bit like with solos that we've talked about. You need to know which version of the pas de deux the teacher's going to be teaching, because there's not often cuts in pas de deux. There can be, but it's not often. Yeah, in the repertory, in the repertoire pas de deux. But tempos is humongous. It can be, the complete opposite ends of the rainbow with pas de deux, depending on, if it's the original choreography, or was it, is it 21st century choreography where it's likely, it's going to be slower.
Yes. Yeah.
But for the rap, if you are playing in the school environment, you have to be more accommodative and understanding and flexible with the speed, because I find it actually easier to play professionals, the pas de deux rap, because they will just be on the music, whereas student, they're still learning it. So some steps takes longer and things like this. So, but if you play the speed that you see on the YouTube when the Royal Ballet dancers are doing it, that's not going to happen with the students. So you need to know which bit is difficult for them and then try to be a little bit accommodative in terms of speed, and then to know which, which timing when what they are doing. So you can do a little bit of tempo rubato for them until they actually know it. So it's actually trickier to play for the students.
It is, you're right. But what I tend to do is for that very reason, I will take a section out of a pas de deux and not ask for the actual music that goes with it, but ask for let's say a slower 3/4 or something, because a 3/4 gives you much more time. And 2 or 3 lessons in, once they've got that under their belt and they technically understand it, then say, oh, but this is what the music really sounds like, and this is how it fits in with the music. And then it's more exciting for them because they know what's coming up, and they can try and accelerate their learning.
And actually, if they learn it to not the repertoire, then when they've accomplished the actual choreography and the partnering, and they do it with the music, it adds the next level, doesn't it?
It does. It's much more exciting.
So check out, if you subscribe to our mailing list, we're going to put a load of links in there for websites such as IMSLP, where we can create a one-stop shop, and it'll be on our balletpianopodcast.com website as well. A full list of all the pas de deux music, which you can get mostly for free or for a very small price, including solos, etc. And we're going to try and create a little sort of like online linked library there. So please check that out, which will either be in your inbox or on balletpianopodcast.com. And if you've got anything else to add about pas de deux, or you've got a link for some music, or you'd like to share something with the ballet pianist community, you've got one of those really weird old pas de deux from a ballet like The Awakening of Flora or The Little Humpback Horse that no one really does anymore, but you might get asked for it for a summer school in 2025. Please feel free to share that, and we can put things on our website like that as well. So try and create a little resource center on there as well. Yeah. So on that note, I'm going to go to the fridge and grab another beer. So I think we'll finish for now. So it's going to be goodbye from me.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh.
Go on, Queen of Clapham.
We did it in a different order.
We did. Sorry, my fault.
Sorry, David. You go first.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.